as I thought I would share my resin mixing process and what I use and some colours I'm going to use today. So I use art resin, love it. Yeah, it is great stuff and I just adore it. I've just got a new one, so they'll come with this little red thing on top. I always start with the resin with the black lid. It's a 2-part resin. So you've got the resin and the hardener. Yep. So I always make it a point to start with the black lid, just so that I don't get mixed up, because that can happen. I love, their mix is 1-to-1. So I have these cool containers because I've had other resins that have not been a 1-to-1 mix, so you can use kind of, 3-to-1, 2-to-1, whatever. But this one is easy peasy, and these containers, the mixing containers are reusable. Cool thing about resin, I've got a bunch here. Once it dries into these containers, you can actually kind of poke it around a bit and, oh, there goes the spoon. Poke it around a bit, and eventually once you've used them a lot, like this one, they will crack. But just for making a point on my hard to do gloves, but you can grab one of the bits of cured resin inside and just pull it right out, and it's good to go as long as it didn't crack. Very satisfying. All right, so I've got my resin in there up to the 1. It's gone a little bit over the 1. When you're pouring resin into a container, it will self level. So just, obviously if you're making a video, it's harder, but try and keep an eye on what you're doing. Right, next is the next part, the hardener. Mixing an equal part of that, so I'm just going to go a little bit over the other one. Watch what I'm doing a little more carefully. Make that even. All right. Now, resin you have to mix really, really, really well. Right now, you can see there's 2 different parts in there, okay? So like there and there. You've got to mix it for, it says 3 minutes. I like to mix for 5. It's winter, it's pretty cold. So I'm just gonna set my timer here and I'll be back. When you do mix slowly. If you mix fast, yeah, you'll get it mixed together faster, but you will get a lot of bubbles, and bubbles are not fun in your finished piece. Lots of sanding. Okay, so when you are mixing your resin, once you start mixing it, you'll see it gets a bit cloudy. That's the 2 parts mixing together, and you'll know it's ready when it is crystal clear. I mean, there's a lot of bubbles in there. That's even from mixing slowly, but it'll be crystal clear. There'll be no streaky lines in there or whatever. So if you're still seeing any kind of streaky, lighter colored lines, just keep mixing, So I'm going to mix up some colors. I like to, when I use these to balance out boards and things to get them level, I like to reuse them for resin. Also the mixing stir stick thingies. If the resin dries on these, you can just peel it off, but also if you just give it a wipe with a cloth with alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, I like to keep mine in this beautiful spray bottle, that'll get the resin off things, so you can reuse those too. Lots of ways to save and help the environment. I do go through a lot of paper towels. I haven't found a solution for that with getting the resin off, hands, gloves, things, because if you use it on a regular cloth, that cloth is a goner. Okay, so I am going to make a few boards this morning, and in honor of St. Patrick's Day and my half Irish heritage, I am going to make a green board, a green ocean, because that exists in the world. I haven't made a green one before, but we will see how it goes. So I've got my clear. I'm going to make this one my white for the waves. With the white, actually I'll get back to that in a minute. Okay, colors, colors, colors. This resin has a 45-minute working time. So that means after 45 minutes, it is going to get pretty tricky to work the resin the way you want to. It gets, you know, it starts to cure. It's not going to cure hard, but it's going to cure, just start to get kind of sticky gloopy. Okay, so I think I will leave that like that. Now we will mix in the colors. So I like to use for my white for the waves, I like to use the ClaireBartlettArt epoxy white. It's a paste. I was giving a try of other paste because I tried various other tints and things and wasn't super happy about the outcome. But give it a good mix before you start. I'm happy to try other ones when I run out of this one, but right now this is my champion. So I feel like I've got way too much white in here, so I'm gonna just put some of that back. Don't need a lot of white. So with the white, everybody seems to recommend this, and I don't disagree. When you are doing waves and you want, you know, that really cool lacing and cells effect, it's best to let the white sit until you've got, you know, not a whole lot of working time left. So I'm probably going to let this sit for, let me set my stopwatch because I like to know how much of my working time I have left. Okay. Oh my god. Once again, keep alcohol, isopropyl alcohol on a paper towel at all times, you know, for when you stick your resiny hands on your watch and stuff. Okay, so I start my stopwatch all the time so I know what my working time is. So I'm basically going to let this white sit for a little while and get nice and thick, because this is pretty runny right now. You want it nice and thick so it you know, does the effects the way you want it to. When you're mixing the colors, the recommendation is no more than 6% of the color in the resin. Otherwise it will just, you know, especially with paints, if you're using acrylic paints and things, which I do sometimes, it can really kind of take over and let the resin, you know, change the chemical composition of the resin and things, so it won't set well. All right, I'm gonna try the green. I don't know, let's see. Just do, since this is the bottom layer on all of these boards, I'm gonna go quite heavy on the color, within that 6% still, whatever, it's only a few drops, but strong in the color. Oh my, this is really green. I don't know, not sure how I feel about this. Okay, oh yeah, that's really green. You know what, maybe it'll turn out great. I love blues. I am a big blues fan, but a lot of people like green, so let's give this a try. I think for this initial layer, I'm gonna just pop one tiny drop of black in there just to make it a darker green. And then the other layers, other layer, I'll probably pop a bit of, you know, maybe a little white in there, or just that beautiful bright green that it just was. Okay, so this has gone nice and dark. I like that, much better. Okay, that's gonna be for this guy over here. Next we're going to do our blue ones, and I'm going to do, I have these, so the mixing, I use these, had these for a while now, these Let's Resin Ocean Alcohol ink set. It had a lot of different colors in it, which were really pretty, so I've got some really pretty blues that I like to put on top. For the base, darker kind of layer, I've got these, what are they called, Liquitex acrylic inks. You know, I had them for other things. You can use them in place of paint, or just in place of resin dyes. I'll do 3 drops in this one. This is about just over half of a cup, one of these, so maybe an ounce, maybe less. But these are quite strong, vibrant inks, so they give you a really good colour. Okay, so it's still translucent, you can see, maybe. I'll try this, let's see. Still translucent, but dark. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little of the black alcohol ink in there too, the Let's Resin one, just to get that nice and dark as well, but still bright. That's how you get the cool effects underneath when the waves on top, and then once you put the second layer on, it really pops. Alright, so now I've got this very cool, let's try that again, very cool, really darker blue. Okay, there's one blue, and then I'm going to do the turquoise because it's my favourite. And again, Liquitex ink, Turquoise Deep. Now, keeping an eye on the time, I'm already 5 minutes into my 45-minute working time, so I'm kind of have to work a little quickly. Because this is the Turquoise Deep, it goes this really cool. Oh, it's so bright, I love it. I'm going to put a little black in there, just for that base layer. Boom. And then I will see you in the individual pieces.